What is up, guys? It's me. You might know me from my channel where we talk about all things space. Today, though, we're going to talk about something that really fascinates me, the rings of Saturn. Saturn's rings are one of the most spectacular sights in our solar system, only rivaled by the Great Red Spot or maybe the blue marble that is Earth. But what exactly are these rings? What are they made of? How did they get there? And can we one day walk through them? That last one's a joke. Please don't try it. Don't worry though. By the end of this video, you will be a certified expert on all things ring related. So grab your PBR, settle into your lazy boy, and let's get to it. As far as we know, every single planet in the solar system has some kind of ring, but Saturn takes the cake, or should I say, the ice. This is because Saturn has more than a dozen known rings. Range in complexity from simple opaque rings to large systems with spokes and gaps. The majority of Saturn's rings are opaque, meaning that if you were to look at them, edge-on, you would see them as solid objects rather than a series of thin sheets. This is because they are intermediate in complexity, being more complex than simple rings, but not as complex as the more developed ring systems. The majority of Saturn's rings are opaque, meaning that if you were to look at them edge-on, you would see them as solid objects rather than a series of thin sheets. This is because they are intermediate in complexity, being more complex than simple rings but not as complex as the more developed ring systems. Now, to be fair, we really don't know how many rings Saturn has. All we know for sure is that it has at least 10 major rings and then a whole bunch of smaller ones. In fact, new rings are discovered almost every time Cassini takes new pictures. For example, the latest discovery was made in 2020, when scientists found 6 new rings using images taken between 2004 and 2017. 4 of the rings were opaque, while the other 2 were intermediate in complexity. But wait, I hear you asking, what's the difference between a simple, opaque, and complex ring? Well, as I mentioned earlier, simple rings are the most basic type of ring system. They consist of a single band of ice and rock that is only a few miles wide. Opaque rings are a bit more complex. They are wider than simple rings, and they also have more mass. This means that they are more visible from Earth, and they also cast shadows that can be seen on the ground. Complex rings are the most developed type of ring system. They have gaps and spokes that make them more complicated to model and understand. So now you're probably wondering what these rings are actually made of. Since we know that they are solid objects like we might think, while the exact composition of Saturn's rings is unknown, it is believed that they are mostly made of ice and rock. The ice is thought to come from the Kuiper Belt, a region of the solar system beyond Neptune that is full of icy bodies. The rock, on the other hand, is thought to come from the planet's atmosphere. Over billions of years, the atmosphere has been blown away by Saturn's powerful winds, leaving behind a trail of dust and rock. This material eventually condenses into ice crystals, which form the rings that we see today. Now, you're probably wondering how these rings got so big. After all, they are thousands of miles across. But here's the thing, Saturn's rings are actually only a few miles wide. The reason they look so big is because they are very reflective. When sunlight hits the ice in the rings, it bounces back, creating the illusion of a much larger object. In reality, Saturn's rings are only a few miles wide. Okay, so now that we know what Saturn's rings are made of and how they got there, let's talk about why they are so important. I mean, we're not gonna lie, Saturn's rings are pretty important to the planet's overall structure. They help protect it from the harsh environment of space, and they also play an important role in its climate. Now, this might seem surprising, but Saturn's rings actually do a pretty good job of insulating the planet. This is because they reflect sunlight back into space, which helps keep Saturn from getting too hot. Additionally, the rings also help to trap heat inside the planet, creating a greenhouse effect that keeps Saturn's atmosphere from getting too cold. Without its rings, Saturn would be a very inhospitable place. And here's another interesting fact. The rings also play an important role in Saturn's weather. The ice in the rings sublimates, which means it goes directly from a solid to a gas. This creates a very cold cloud layer in Saturn's atmosphere, which is the birthplace of the planet's winds. These winds then blow around the planet, causing the familiar hexagonal storm at the North Pole. Finally, Saturn's rings are just plain beautiful. There's no other way to put it. They are a reminder of the amazing power and beauty of nature. And they are truly one of the most spectacular sights in our solar system. We are lucky to be able to see them from Earth with our telescopes. And we are even more fortunate that NASA's Cassini spacecraft was able to visit them up close and personal. The images that Cassini returned are truly breathtaking, and they have helped us to understand Saturn's rings like never before. In fact, one of the most famous images that Cassini took is the Wave 1 image. This image shows a wave that was created in Saturn's rings by a small boat named the Peggy. The wave is actually a pretty big deal, because it shows that Saturn's rings are dynamic and ever-changing. It also gave scientists a chance to study the properties of the rings, because waves on the surface of the ocean here on Earth move up and down, with a force that depends on the strength of the wind that created them. Scientists hope that by studying waves in Saturn's rings, they may be able to better understand the planet's climate and weather patterns. That's right. Saturn's rings are so fascinating that scientists are still studying them today. In fact, one of the most exciting things about Saturn's rings is that we still have so much to learn. There is so much that we don't understand about them that there will be plenty of opportunities for future discoveries. Who knows what we might find out about Saturn's rings in the future? Maybe we will discover new structures, or maybe we will learn more about how they formed. Maybe one day we will even be able to walk through them. Just kidding. Please don't try that. But one thing is for sure, Saturn's rings are truly one of the most amazing things in our solar system. And that about wraps it up for today's video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And of course, let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you find most fascinating about Saturn's rings? Would you like to visit them one day? I know I would. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.